Formula One was interesting this past weekend, wasn't it? A first-time winner. It's always great to have that. It's always great to know that the league is, not the league rather, that the races are competitive. But are they really competitive? Or was it a fluke of a win? Either way, one person is not going to think so, and that's Norris. So we'll speak Formula One, and we're going to go all the way abroad to do that. We're going to speak to Chris Medland. He's a freelance Formula One journalist with a permanent FIA accreditation for the Formula One World Champion. He's the man that speaks to the stars. We'll speak to him about what Lando did this past weekend. And also, it seems like and this is just me. It seems like, and I was looking at him yesterday, Hamilton, on the red carpet. They were doing the, what are they called? The Met Gala. And I thought, hey, he looks a lot happier on that red carpet than he does on the track at the moment. Is it just him passing the time to pass this season through, awaiting, of course, to move to where his heart is now? So let's speak a little bit about Formula One and about the man that, reignited my love, at least, for Formula One all over again. So we'll have that conversation. There are games in the DStv Premiership, and we're going to be going to coach at Chippa United. 4 months now since taking over in February. We'll speak to Kwanele Kopo about the run of things. How's it going at Chippa United? 3 games now that he's lost. What does that mean with the temperamental boss that he's got, like Chippa United? What does he think of his squad finishing strong this season? Is it going to be that? Where is he looking at finishing? What is the terms of his contract and conversations with Chippa at the moment? He's got some big name players there. Former Orlando Pirates player Goodman Musela has probably been one of the best players there. And also, their feelings now around Nwabali. This is the man that came out of the Africa Cup of Nations as one of the better goalkeepers there. You remember the statement when they played us. Chippa United is sending out a statement saying, in this game, although they're playing South Africa, they would like to wish well their goalkeeper. It caught me by surprise. I was in the Ivory Coast. I looked at it and I thought to myself, here, my daughter. So we'll get into that and so much more. And of course, taking your calls as per usual when it comes the time 10-2, just before top of the hour, and Faith comes in 086 0002160. You can send your voice note as early as you want on 060-552-7303. And funulwana bantu man, guys. But the Victor Hlungwane comes in here every single Monday. He has about 10 minutes. Mazola has the other 10. All the other sports have the other 10. The other 10 goes to you. There's no ways we can cover every incident from the weekend. It's 15 after the hour 6 on the Mighty Metro FM. Chippa United, when you look at the log at the moment and how they're doing, we're going to be catching up with their coach just to get a view of their thoughts around the season so far. A new coach, 4 months in. And, is he done well? Is he happy with what he's done? They're sitting in 10th at the moment. After having played 26 games, they've collected 32 points. They're still within shot of that top 8 position. They can still get. At 32 points now, they've survived relegation. They're out of that dog what, and they're fighting for something better at Chippa United this season. Kwanele Kopo is the man that is heading that team. Alongside, of course, Thabo's there. Morgan Mamila sits on the bench alongside him there. So it's a trio of coaches that are all out at Chippa United. Chippa United is he's a different owner, isn't he? He's a different owner. He's an owner that's very available. Firstly, you see him at all the games. He's very available, very much like what you see with Tim Sugazi and a couple others. But you see him there. He's very hands-on. We've spoken to him here before, and we all know how hands-on he is Chippa United. You could swear every now and then he's at training even. Is Chippa. So Kwanele is the man we're speaking to. Timmy, do you have Kwanele ready? Do you have Kwanele? All right, Kwanele Kopo is getting ready, so we'll have a conversation with him. I think he's been pulled in too many directions, and I think most of it, and it's not going to be, you can't not touch on it, surely. You can't not touch of the event of the weekend, but that's not the reason why we wanted to talk to him. We wanted to talk to him about everything else, about the team at the moment, and with a couple of games to go, a handful of games to go, how they preparing for that. But over the weekend, and you must have heard us here speak about it, there was a huge incident between Kwanele Kopo, the coach of Chippa United, and the coach of Orlando Pirates in Riveiro, and the exchange they had and how Kwanele described that exchange. I think it was the fact that he said it was a racist attack on him that turned what was, an attack of curses between coaches to something a lot more serious. And I think Kwanele obviously getting a lot of attention because of that. And we can't get told if we can ask certain questions and we can't ask certain questions. We need to stay away from certain things if you're coming here for an interview. We're going to have a conversation. Wherever the conversation leads us, whatever the questions are, it's up to you to answer or not answer. And I think that's the debacle at the moment. So we're going to take a quick break. Can we take it now, Malcolm, while we sort it out? Because if there are things that you're going to tell me I'm not allowed to ask about, then I don't think you need to be here, and vice versa. But let's see how this goes. As Timmy puts Kwanele on the line, there's still a conversation they're having there. I see hands going up, etc. So it could be that, saying, how my eyes not going to accept that. But let's take a break. It's 20 after the hour 6 on the Mighty Metro FM. We've got Chippa United on the line. On the phone that belongs to Coach Kwanele Kopo. Answering the phone is Coach Thabo September. Thabo.
Sure, Andile.
Are you well?
I'm good, sir. I'm good. How are you?
I am not good. And I can imagine you're not prepared for this chat either.
No, man. It's I guess we're sharing phones as well, I guess.
Coach, please, for those, because I mean, top of the show yesterday, we said we're speaking to Coach Kwanele Kopo. Those that are listening, wanting to hear from Coach Kwanele Kopo, why are we talking to you, Coach?
Yes, Andile, you're talking to me. What was the question?
I'm wondering, because obviously yesterday we promoted that we're going to be speaking to Coach Kwanele Kopo. Even at the top of the show now, we're going to be speaking to Coach Kwanele Kopo. Why is it that now at 21 minutes past 6, on the phone, I've got Coach Thabo September?
Yeah, Coach is not in a good space to be. We would like to give this, to pass this to me. I don't know what was the promo, so I guess he wanted me to handle the interview. So yeah. So
do you know why?
No, not really. But I guess it's
so you were just given the phone. It's like, here, answer this.
Yeah, I guess we're busy with the analysis right now as well. So
Thabo,
I just got the phone from you.
Thabo, I have so much respect for you. I love what you do. I mean, since you're a player, even now, I watch what you do, and I'm so happy for what you did at Supersport, etc. And you've always been an honest guy. You've always been a straightforward guy. Has that changed?
Yeah. No, I think it hasn't. So
let me ask you a straightforward question then, Thabo. Before we get into the football, why are we talking to you and not Coach Kopo?
We are co-coaches, so I guess we share responsibilities. So that's all I know. I'm doing this interview with Metro FM. All
right. It's okay. You are co-coaches and you're a great man yourself. How have you settled it, Chippa?
No, I've settled very well. I think it's been good. And of course, we've gotten into a point now where we lost 2 league games in a row. And we've out of the Nedbank as well. But before that, I think we've done pretty well. We put ourselves out of the relegation and in a good position in the league, and we got ourselves into the Nedbank semi-final, and with the possibility of getting into the CAF Confederation Cup. And
I mean, you sit at the moment with 3 coaches essentially, because Morgan Mamila is still there as well. A great mentor at Chippa United. He sits there with you. How does that situation work with the 3 of you? Well, what are the roles? Who takes the lead? I mean, we've seen co-coaching in South Africa. I think it was more rife in the last 2 years, and then we saw it dwindle down. How does it work at Chippa?
Yeah, he's the technical director. I think that's his title. I think 2 coaches and the technical director, someone that we bump heads with in terms of advice and ideas. And Kopo is one of the best in terms of technical experience. I think she's done it over 20 years at his former team. And me, of course, with the player management relationship, and also to share my experience on the field with the players, it's just a combination of different skills and bring them together. So we just share responsibilities in what one is best in, and also help each other where one lacks.
With 25 goals scored this season, this is just in the league. I mean, you look at the team just under you, Golden Arrows, they've got 28. Amazulu Swallows, even Royal AM sitting in 14th, 22. Not very far from where you guys are with 25 goals that you've been able to score this season. You know, it's a little bit less for the likes of Kaizer Chiefs, etc., above you, but they've done better in conceding less. Would you think that there's a bit of a challenge up front?
I think we've only had, since the beginning of 2024, I think we've only had 2 games where we didn't score a goal. It was Polokwane City and Mamelodi Sundowns. Every other game that we've played, we've scored. So
yeah, even in the losses. So you're spot on, even in the losses. And there was those 2-0 runs as well.
Yeah, we also did well in terms of keeping clean sheets at the back. So, yeah, it is a work in progress. But to score in all of those games except 2, it must be something that is happening that is right, on the right direction. But we are not a free-scoring team like Pirates is right now or Mamelodi Sundowns. So we strive for that. We strive to emulate them.
Well, under Pirates over the weekend, were they just that much better than you? Did you feel, you were beaten by a better team?
I think in the second half we applied ourselves better than the opposition, but it was too late. I think the start with the 7-minute delay in the kickoff, I think we started slow. We were punished very early, and that took the momentum. Of course, when you're playing the big teams and the support they join in, and they went on that momentum. And in the first half, I think they played good and took their chances. But yeah, in the second half, we changed a bit of the shape, and we dominated much of the second half. We made them play in our way, the way we wanted to play, and I think Eva was magnificent, and we took the energy from him straight from the field, and also on the bench we took the energy from him, and it was a game where we said after half time, after we started bad, that we need to win the second half, and we drew the second half, so something to build on as we go into the league game with them.
And then that's why I was asking you that game, because Craig Martin, I think, is your leading goal scorer with the 5 goals. Then you've got Evangar sitting on 4 goals. Kamibundu's got 5 goals as well. Then you've got Gwaiba with 4 goals as well. And that's why I was asking. That's your main striker sitting on 4 goals at the moment. You guys have got to have done something differently when you arrived, because then there was the 4 goals, 4 games in April, from the beginning of April till like end of April. 2-0 victories, 4 different games, all your goal scorers scoring. What was the difference in what you've done to give the confidence to getting 8 goals from guys that were scoring 3-2 goals all season?
I think that's the word. I think we just gave them a lot of confidence. We did a lot of work at training in terms of the offensive. You don't really coach offensive players. You let them express themselves more, and so you start giving them belief in what they can do and what they can see as well. And I think also Caden Francis, he has been good. The boy that was promoted from the DBC, he also contributed with 3 goals. So it's just a lot of work with the team, especially the guys, and giving them confidence. That has brought us to where we are.
Goodman Masele, he's been a stalwart for you, one of the better players this season.
Yeah.
He's been missing for a while. Is he ready? Is he back? Is he fit to play?
No, he's not fit to play tomorrow.
So he won't be available tomorrow again?
Yeah, he won't be available tomorrow.
He's still nursing the injury?
Yeah.
How much longer?
After Parades, I guess we'll have to assess after Parades, and hopefully he's back for Real AM.
Andile Mbenyane, 36 now. He's, he's, as far as Chippa's concerned, we joke around and we say this is Chippa's son.
Yeah.
Is he? I know you just got there in February, Coach, but you look at him and you played. Is he still part of the squad plans? Is he still a long term? He doesn't play as many games as he used to, Andile.
Yeah, he doesn't, and partly it's the numbers that you mentioned, 36, and we manage him, and he's a big part of of the players, and he's also a big part of the technical team because he understands the club. He has been with this club more than anyone, any player that is on the field. So he knows the ins and outs. So he helps the technical team with that, and he's also involved in his game as well. I think in the Nedbank when we were playing our quarterfinals, he's the one that took us to last 16 is the one that took us to the quarterfinals with a great header. So we build on that, and we need to manage him. But Asia is good.
Is there a fear of losing Nwabali?
Fear, I think, not the right word to use, but I think there's a high possibility of losing him. I don't think it's a fear. That's what the club is about. It's about giving players a platform and opportunities, be it a player or coaches that have gone through this club. So it's the circle of it. It's just
he's been such. I mean, I asked this because he's been such an integral part of your team.
Of course, yeah, it's huge for us. I mean, with the clean sheets that we have kept, I think you saw some of the games. He's been, especially if you look at the SuperSport game, the saves that he made in the second half, they were right there. So for us to get that 2-0 there, it was a huge contribution to him.
And here's another player that many wonder about, because, you know, when they started together and they were going through the ranks, the Mayo brothers were awaited for as a duo. The one's gone down to Cape Town, scoring goals there. You know, he's on the doorstep of Bafana. The other's with you, but I'm assuming you would know him from the SuperSport days already. The other brother is sitting with you there, hasn't seen any game time. He's now 24 years old, at an age where many might have expected that he'd be playing more regular football.
Yeah, he got a bad injury when he was still at SuperSport, and also when we found him at Chippa, he still had that injury, and he hasn't trained since we got to Chippa because of that injury. And you know, sometimes football can be like that, a bit cruel, because I think in the early ages of their careers, I think he was earmarked to be better than the older brother. But, football, you know, it gives you lemon.
But Thabo, hold on. You're saying he had this injury since what injury is it? Firstly,
a knee.
And he's had it since he was at SuperSport. That's a while ago.
So it's a recurring injury, I guess. He did play a little bit. He did participate at Chippa, but the same injury came back. So it was never resolved. So I guess, it's a while ago. It has also affected him mentally, so we try to help. And Cape Town City, we have to give it to them as well. With Mario on that side, we've been having a good relationship with them to assist his younger brother so that Mario can focus on his game also in Cape Town. And, you know, we have that relationship. It's good to see football clubs doing that. So we're trying to get him back on the field by all means.
Is he with you guys at the moment, or is he in Cape Town? Is that what you're saying? He's in Cape Town training there. Am I understanding you correctly?
No, he's not in Cape Town training, but we did have a session for him to go to Cape Town to try to have a sports psychologist, that to have a bit of not to train with Cape Town City, but to get an assistance from Cape Town City. With his brother being there, we try to. The relationship that we have with Cape Town City and the chairman, John Committees, to help also the bigger brothers to focus on his game. So there is that relationship. So we're trying everything to help both of them.
I want to ask you, I mean, you come from SuperSports, you arrive at Chippa. There's a lot of talk in and around Evanga and the kind of striker and player he is, stemming from even before he left, and then at Pirates, you know, not very successful there. How would you describe Evanga as a striker? As Thabo September coming in as a coach, you're seeing this man at training, you're seeing him play. What would be your words to describe him as a player and a striker? Because he gets a lot of flack. Obviously, most of it based on, you know, his unsuccessful tenure at Orlando Pirates for most. You get there, you see him, and, you know, from the coaches now, it seems you guys are backing him a lot.
Yeah, Eva is a beast. I think that the first word that comes to mind is a beast, because if you are a centre back that likes contact, you will lose against Evanga because of his strength, and he's got deceiving speed. He can take off. He's been doing well in terms of his heading, finishing. He's almost an English kind of striker, in the Premier League. So he likes to use his body a lot, whereas you find most like other teams or other strikers that like to take space. He likes to take on opponents more than the space. He likes to feel you. So he's a contact. He's like a Mbesuma. If I were to refer him to someone that I played against, he's like a Mbesuma, kind of a striker.
Do you worry when you work for Chippa United and you lose 3 games in a row?
No, not at all.
Thabo, you don't sit there and say, "Hey, we've just lost 3 in a row." You know the history of Chippa United and Umnumzanu Chippa United.
But you asked me a question, you give me a chance to give my honest. Instead of
please.
Let me give my honest opinion. I think Chairman has blend. Chairman has got a great football understanding. You wouldn't be happy for your child to be bullied every day at school. You will have to to intervene, or you want your child to do defense classes as well, so that he can protect himself or something. So this is his baby, the club, and if I'm in charge of it on the field, he still wants to protect the child. So you would understand. No boss wants to see his team fail, but with the support that he has given me and Coach Kopo, I don't worry about being fired, because all I can do here is do my best, and with the support that the chairman and the general manager and everyone that we work with, even the technical team, I think we have a vision for the club. So if that changes, then it changes. But I've got the full support, and so is Kopo. We've got the full support of the chairman in whatever that we do. You saw the crowd that came through in the Eastern Cape for the semi-finals.
I hear you.
That is part of the vision. That is part of what the club wants to do. Otherwise, people of the Eastern Cape were going to be deprived from great football in the Eastern Cape. So this club is not only, he wants it to be a club for the Eastern Cape. So I want that. I see the vision. I want the club to stay in the PSL. I want the club to be the beacon of hope for the Eastern Cape. And if the thought comes when that doesn't come through, I will understand.
I mean, you're in a great position now. I mean, I think 2016 was the last time you weren't fighting relegation in the way that you are used to. I mean, now, no relegation threats. You're talking about top 8 positions, etc. It's great to know. But what you've just said now, I hope it's not a repeat of a song I've heard many times before from coaches. Before I let you go, you said yourself, Coach Kwanele, are very close, correct?
Yes.
So on the bench, you sit right next to each other, close.
Yes.
When he stands up to go fight, you are there with him.
Yes.
So when words are exchanged, you're hearing everything.
Yes.
What did you hear against Pirates?
I would try to distance myself to anything, because I think it's done on the field. When it's done on the field, I would assume when you leave the field, it's done.
Not when it's racially charged, though, Thabo. You'd agree with that.
That again?
Not when it's racially charged. Kwanele Kopo, your co-coach, you were there standing next to him. He says he was racially abused. That can't stay on the field.
No, he was not saying it was racially abused, but it was, what was written was a bit, you took something that he was saying and someone changed it to make it as if it's a racial abuse. But the word that was used was a wrong word. But we are done with that.
But was it a racially motivated word? Was it based on a white man saying something to a black man?
No, it was not a racial comment. It was just someone insulting. But it's done now, Ken.
So, Coach Kwanele, got it wrong or misunderstood when he said it was racially abused? Because he said it, no one else, he said it.
Maybe someone wrote something wrong.
No.
I don't understand.
This is his words. We've got him at the press conference saying that he even goes on to say, Thabo, looking at the past and where we're from, he was racially abused.
Well, I'm here for football. I think I would love to focus on that.
It's part of football. It was a game played in South Africa, two big teams, and a coach in the country that, and I agree with Coach Kwanele, in a country with the past that we have, if you say you were racially abused, this means all of us must jump in there and say this is not going to happen in our country. Are you now saying that he heard wrong, it was not racial, or he misunderstood what was being said? Because the coach at Orlando Pirates has said, guys, I'd love to know what it is that is racially infused that I said.
No, it was not a racial comment. Someone just insulted us, and that was that. So there was no racial comment.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Thabo. Thank you for talking to me.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. It's Coach Thabo September there. Let's take a very quick break, and then we'll have to take, because, I mean, it's an international call from one of the best F1 journalists in the world who's talking to us. We have to take him, Chris Medland, in a few minutes, and then hopefully we'll squeeze in time to hear from you. That's how it is when you deal with coaches sometimes. But Coach Kwanele, I hope at some point you make it to the show. You're more than welcome still here. Would love to have a conversation and maybe even an apology if what Coach Thabo September is saying is anything to go by to not just the Orlando Pirates and the Orlando Pirates coach, but to all of us who jumped in this with you. It's 1842 on the Mighty Metro FM. We're blessed to have the ear and the opinions and the thoughts of Chris Medland, freelance Formula One journalist with a permanent FIA accreditation for the Formula One World Championship. Chris, always a pleasure to have you here. We roll out the red carpet whenever we hear you're coming.
Thank you very much, Andile. It's always good to come on.
Listen, Miami was like nothing else. I was saying a little bit earlier about how the Americans know how to put on a show. It's a celebrity show. It's all big and all that. And to top it, Lando Norris makes history.
Yeah, you're spot on. I think that's what we were saying as well at the race on Sunday, that it's an amazing spectacle and a really good event for fans to go to and enjoy themselves. It's not cheap, but it is a big spectacle. But the downside has been so far we haven't had thrilling races in Miami. So the majority of people are tuning in to watch on television. And finally, you got it all come together. So it was a great race. It was an exciting one because Max was threatened and beaten by a quicker car. And it was Norris's first win, which was hugely popular among all of the drivers and most of the F1 paddock too.
But it's one of those wins where it's going to go down with a little bit of a blemish because a lot of people saying, yeah, he won, but the safety car.
No, don't worry about that part. I think it was quite clear, actually, in the middle of the race that Norris was the quickest guy on track for a number of laps, actually. Now, at that stage, quite early on, I'd kind of commented that the wrong McLaren was in second place because Norris had the heavily upgraded McLaren. His teammate Oscar Piastri was doing a very good job, but didn't have as many upgrades, so didn't have a car that was quite as quick. And Norris, when he got into clear air, proved that he had the quickest package on the day. So he put himself in a position to be able to win the race. Then the safety car timing was perfect. You're right. It really did help him. But then from there, he took full advantage. And that's the way it goes sometimes. I mean, we've seen it quite often. Max Verstappen's run of dominance, not every single race, was without a little bit of luck then too. But when you have the quickest car, you have more opportunities to take advantage of that luck. And that's exactly what Norris did.
So you take it down to a little bit of luck with a quicker car because no wins, it has been said for a long time. Lando Norris, he's been around for so long, 1,800 something odd days is what I saw since his debut, never won a race. You think a little bit of luck, but a faster car as well. He's an able driver. He's always been an able driver, but those two things coming together in Miami gave him his first win.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, he's been in positions to be close before, but never really had anything kind of fall his way. The one time he maybe should have won was in 2021 in Russia. But even then, the weather kind of conspired against him. And you could say that was bad luck. You kind of had to gamble on one approach or the other. And Lewis Hamilton won that race when he made a pit stop to put on wet tyres. Norris and McLaren tried to hang it out on slicks, and it went wrong for them. So it was, that was a curveball he didn't need at that time. If that had stayed dry, he would have won that race comfortably. So he's proven, even at a much younger age, that he was good enough to win races in Formula One. It is bizarre because, you're right with the gap. It was the start of the 2018 season. The first round of the Formula 2 Championship was actually his last win. He fought for that title all year, but he only had the one win at the start of the season. And then, in machinery that hasn't been quick enough at McLaren, he hadn't been able to get a victory up until now. But this was probably the first time where you said he's got the quickest car and he's got into the lead. Can he handle that pressure? And he just cruised into the distance. It was almost like watching Max Verstappen at his prime, just pulling away comfortably.
And I asked it like that for a reason, because then I'm wondering, he's got the faster car now. He is an able driver. Is this a turning of a corner for McLaren, or is it just, he's going to need a lot more luck?
He will need a bit more luck if he wants to get multiple race wins this year. Circumstances will have to go his way, just like it does anyone's, to be honest. I still would say on average the Red Bull is the quickest car. It wasn't this weekend in Miami, but over the average of circuits it will be. But also it's all down to development. And as I mentioned earlier, McLaren brought a big upgrade to Norris's car, and half of it came to Piastri's car in Miami. Piastri will have the whole package in Imola next time out. But also in Imola, Ferrari are going to bring a big upgrade to their car. Red Bull say, watch this space for when we bring an upgrade. So it's all about the timing. And McLaren have shown that their development rate is very, very good, and they've done that for more than a year now. So I'd imagine McLaren can stay at the sharp end, but it depends if Red Bull move the goalposts on further or Ferrari can take a big step too. So I think what's quite exciting is we've had, 6 races now and 3 different winners. And the fact that Max Verstappen looked like he was going to dominate again, and he is still the clear favourite for the championship. But McLaren and Ferrari have shown that they are much closer this year and can take advantage of opportunities. And I think we're going to have more races like that in the weeks and months to come. So that's kind of exciting for fans to know that when you tune in at the start of a weekend, it's not a guaranteed Max Verstappen victory.
What has this Max era been for you? I mean, you think back to the Lewis era. It was excitement. He had the personality to carry it. You can go back the Ferrari era days as well. There was something about it. How would you describe this Max era? It seems to come with 2 different winds. The wind of people that support the underdog, as he was against Hamilton for a long time, and those that just say he just doesn't have the personality and the vogue to carry it all.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because, the periods you talk about as well, the Schumacher era with Ferrari, the most famous racing car brand in the world. So they had a huge fan base anyway. So that dominance still didn't really, I think a lot of F1 fans were kind of bored by dominance with any team, but to have it from Ferrari was kind of a bit romantic for Formula One. Then when it was Lewis dominating, he still did have a strong challenge from his teammate Nico Rosberg for the first few years. Rosberg obviously got a title in 2016. And then once that period ended, Ferrari were coming closer, getting a few wins, Sebastian Vettel leading that charge. So even though Hamilton dominated for a long time, we tended to have a few really exciting races and battles at times. And then we had that brilliant year in 2021 that had 2 of the best going head-to-head in different machinery.
My goodness,
that was so closely
never
matched.
will I forget it, Chris, I tell you.
It was
those moments where you remember where you were, what you were wearing, and who you were with.
Exactly, and that's kind of the way it all comes together and culminates in that way of having a championship fight like that is rare, but that's what's making it so exciting. Now, the big disappointment, I think, was the fact that Mercedes weren't able to put a car up to challenge Red Bull up to now, because we wanted to see Hamilton versus Verstappen rounds 2, 3, and 4, but also that no one else then stepped into that gap. And there's a whole young generation there of highly talented drivers that haven't had the machinery to challenge Max. Max also hasn't been challenged by his teammate in terms of the titles. So it kind of has lacked a little bit of something to make there some jeopardy or some more intrigue around the title fights. And I think that's why, there's these wins of some people finding it that it lacks charisma or entertainment. But to be fair to Verstappen, he's very straight-laced, very clear. He wants to do one thing, that's to go and race cars and win races. He's pretty blunt about that. So I think sometimes that's quite refreshing, and that's what makes it so good when he does have fights with other people. I mean, he was very magnanimous on Sunday. He was delighted for Lando Norris beating him. Toys didn't come out the pram at all. He was very calm about it and said, second, I'll take that today. The quicker guy won, and I'm fine with it. No complaints about the safety car or anything. So that can be refreshing, but I think everyone wants to see him challenged as much as possible. And
Hamilton, is he just waiting for his next contract to begin? Is he coaxing through the season? Do you feel he's giving it his all and that car's just letting him down?
The car's definitely letting him down, and I do feel like he's giving it his all. There's been times when maybe it's not too clear if he is or not because it's been such a struggle, and he's maybe taken more risks trying to find a magic spark because he's kind of got nothing to lose. The car hasn't been quick. But this weekend was one of those where you saw Lewis really, really on it. He was fighting hard, chasing Sergio Perez for most of the second part of that race in Miami. And you just see him come alive. He's like Fernando Alonso and all the best drivers. They're used to winning. They've gone through their careers winning races and worked so hard to be in those positions to win races. So when they're not in those positions, it's tough. But the second there's a sniff of a big result, they go up a level. And it's really hard for anyone to beat them in those sort of scenarios. And Lewis was comfortably ahead of his teammate George Russell in the race on Sunday, fighting Sergio Perez to the line and really looked on it. So I think if Mercedes give him the car, he'll definitely be at his best.
Saw your article that you wrote on the change in the standings. Sainz 5 seconds penalty, of course, after the collision with Piastri, that affected that. How big is that?
I don't think it's huge in the sense that Sainz had been kind of close in the championship battle for a while, but has now had a few tougher races. But he has shown, having the win in Melbourne and second places as well, that he is right in that mix when things come together. He's been performing very well. I think there's a bit of pressure on him right now to, there's focus on his future. He doesn't want to rush that, but a lot of the talk each weekend is about his next move rather than his performances on track. I felt he was a bit unlucky actually to get a penalty for the contact with Piastri. It was a hard move he tried to pull off and light contact that damaged Piastri's front wing, but kind of like to see hard racing. That only cost him one position though in the end. It dropped him behind Sergio Perez. Lewis Hamilton was just too far back to gain a spot from that as well. But I think more that will be a talking point heading into the next race about stewarding decisions and how much we should penalise drivers for racing incidents. So that was a bit frustrating, I think, to a lot of people. But at the same time, it did really hurt Oscar Piastri's race, and he was having a good race up to that point and ended up outside the points in a very quick car. So it was a bit of a shame the way that panned out, but I don't think it's going to have a huge impact in terms of the standings overall.
I must be very honest with you, Chris. I've kind of written this season off to say this is another Max season. I'm hoping that next season better cars. Looking at what Ferrari possibly could do, looking at what Lewis Hamilton could possibly do, looking at the beginning now of Lando Norris and possibly McLaren doing something. I'm more excited about next season already.
Yeah, I mean, in a sense, so you should be. I think you're kind of right that it would be a big surprise if Max gets a serious challenge for the championship across the rest of the season. I would expect Red Bull to still improve that car as much as, or at least on par with the way that McLaren are. Maybe Ferrari can get a bit closer too, but I think what will be exciting is it's not going to be a repeat of last year. It's already better than last year in this sense that we've had two different teams outside of Red Bull winning races, and I think we're going to get more of that as the year goes on. Now, those wins might be spread around McLaren and Ferrari, and who knows, maybe Mercedes can get in there with the odd win, but then Max Verstappen's going to pick up most of the rest, and that should see him win the title fairly comfortably. But yeah, you're right that the trend is heading towards a much, much closer fight next year too. These are the cars that they'll be developing into next year, and the teams are catching up to Red Bull, as this is evidenced with the number of wins that we've had that's a non-Red Bull car in the first 6 races compared to what we had last year when it was all but one race won by Red Bull. So definitely trending in the right direction, and how quickly we get there remains to be seen. But I just like the fact now that we're heading to Imola, and we're interested to see what Ferrari do with their upgrade and whether they can fight for the win as well. That's what they're targeting. So having that little bit more of intrigue and uncertainty, I think, is good for F1.
I'll tell you what, Chris, I've been told many times to tell you to look at your followers. You got a lot from South Africa. We always appreciate you coming on, and so do all the listeners here on the Mighty Metro FM. Chris Medland, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on, Chris.
Thank you for having me, Andile, and thanks to all my followers as well. It's always good to hear and see them.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much to Chris there. He's out of here. We've got time to squeeze in a couple of voice notes and some calls very quickly. Yeah.
Andile, a Chippa United coach, is the last person to come out crying about being sworn at. His player, number 25, he was swearing at all Orlando Pirates players, even pointing at them. You could read what he was saying on his lips. So I would understand if he was in the middle of the park. He was literally by the line because he was playing against Mfokeng by the line, in front of his coach, in front of the technical staff there. So he should sort out his dressing room before coming out crying.
Following in Durban. Let's quickly just digest what the coach is saying. First of all, I think Coach Kwanele is creating a media stunt for no reason. I believe that there was some sort of maybe high blood sort of reaction whereby they had to exchange words. But for him, he's actually proving for a fact that whatever he's saying, there was no racial allegations or whatever that the coach could have said, because look, logic would say this guy is coaching in a team that is dominated by 99% of black people. Besides that, it is even owned by a black person. So I don't think it's true. If it was true, and if it was racial description, then for sure he'd be available right now. Why is Thabo available? He did not hear anything, or he knows for a fact that there was an exchange of words, but there was no racial points made.
Good evening, Ma. So now, are we gonna pretend as if Man United didn't play yesterday, or you just remind us?
Hey, Andile, ulipara boss, Andile, ulipara boss. Hey, I kill team Yakopra, I kill 4-0. Hardy boss, coming this weekend. Something shy. I can see Arsenal. Something shy. As weekend, they see a
Good evening, Andy.
Just
listen to Kwanele Kopo. I'm sorry, Thabo September denying that Kwanele Kopo was racially abused. I think Kwanele Kopo owes the Pirates coach an apology, because
100%.
you cannot accuse someone of such a serious offense and then not take accountability. This is so unfortunate. He's such a sour loser. How can you accuse someone of racism when there was none? This is Lou from Joburg.
Hi, Andile. As Andile inhliziyo ibabuhlungu all the time because I choose my zodlala, because I know we're gonna lose. And I wonder how is Abomtaung feeling, because they've turned Kaizer Chiefs to a regular team. A once feared team has become just a team. Angazi noma ngithola Andile. Abantu bakamtaung ngicela nje kayi-1 nize nizosijoyina kule show.
Not gonna happen.
Take our questions. Take us. Answer our questions. Kayi-1, please.
Forget. But I see a lot of people here, and Timmy, maybe get the clip of Kwanele Kopo after the press conference and what he said, so we can clarify this once and for all.
Some of us grew up in difficult political times, and you begin to ask yourself sometimes, am I being abused because I'm who I am? I'm the color I am. We don't have issues with Orlando Pirates. We never had issues. I have huge respect for the coach of Orlando Pirates. Very good coach. But today he's left me with a lot of question marks. So it's not an excuse for the result, but it's bad for football. It's very, very bad for football. On the same note, I would like to compliment Coach Mandla Ncube, that at halftime he came and apologized. And even now, after the game, he's come and apologized.
It says the past that we come from, and is it because I am this color? Hey, thank you for choosing us. Pella. That's all me.